Hello, lifers. Thank you so much for allowing us to be in your ear for a moment if you're listening to us wherever you get your podcast, or if you're watching us on YouTube. Thank you so much for coming into the living room with us once again. Today, we have a very special episode. We have Judy Micale. She is a career coach as well as a trainer. She's a best selling author and just dynamic counseling services, just dynamic all around. And today we're talking about one word that will change your life and how you can formulate that word, or how you can really put your word into action for you for the rest of the year, or if you're jumping in the middle of the year. It doesn't really matter. But in addition to that, if you are a person who is experiencing change, or you're about to go into a big transition, or you're looking to go to your next level, you're feeling that tug, but you're not there yet, and you kind of need some help to get there along the way, then this episode is for you, because we not only talk about the one word, but we talk about everything in life and everything that changes and moves so quickly, because we're all evolving all the time. And this is just one of those episodes where you get a pretty much a session with a career coach, best-selling author, and inspiration, Judy Micale. So thank you so much for joining. Take a listen.
Hi, lifers, and Happy New Year. Welcome back to another episode of Because Life Can Be a Niche podcast. And today I am super excited because I have a very special guest who is dear to me, because she's been in my life now for, I don't know, say 6 months, maybe. I hope not, because that means that our time is getting shorter. But this is my career coach, Judy Micale. And I'm going to introduce you and tell you all the wonderful things about her, and drop stuff in the show notes so that you can find out more, as well as, especially, we'll talk about what a career coach is and what they do, but also everything else that Judy does. But getting started so that we don't waste too much time here. Judy, welcome to the podcast.
Thank you. I am excited to be here. It is awesome. And I love working with you. So I'm really excited to be here now.
I so appreciate it. We got to set it up and tell people how we know each other, just because it's so cool. And if people can take advantage of this through their own companies, then please look into it. But Judy is my career coach through Better Up. But Judy, do you want to just share a little bit about what that is?
Well, really and truthfully, I work with Better Up as well, but I also have private clients that I take. So I'm really excited about the fact that I work with a diverse group of people, and I work with people all over the world. I have I just signed on a client actually over in Amsterdam. So I work with individuals across the world, and really it's people that are looking, they might be at a transition in their life, or they're looking to develop their leadership skills. And those are the two biggies for me. I'm really big on transitions and leadership. My tagline is communication plus compassion equals change for today's world and workforce. So I'm a firm believer in those three components, making leaders that are ready to change and become compassionate leaders versus the old industrial thinking leader that we still have a little bit in the workforce. And so there's this transformation that's happening in the work field as well. So that's my big thing.
Yes. And that is how I actually experienced Judy, through my company, because they offered this to us, and we get a whole year of time with a career coach. And this has just been, I think, transformational. Transformation is a good word, I think, to describe it. But also, for me, it has been life changing, Because the beautiful part, and I'll just tell you now, because I like to give people their flowers while they're in my presence, is that you are a career coach, and we talk about leadership and we talk about skills and training, but you address the whole person. And that's everything, because you think that people come to the job or come to your career and that's the work person, but you're actually bringing all of your personal stuff and who you are and what makes you a person to your job as well. And that's what I love about your coaching, is that, it's not just, what do you want to do? What do you want to do in your career? It is, how are you as a person, as a whole? And I think
That's there too. I didn't mean to interrupt you, but that is what I say. I always say, I've never met a piece of a pie. You are a whole person. Personal affects professional, professional affects personal. So yeah, I always deal with all issues. You can come to me with anything either way, and we're just going to go with it. A coach should be a person who helps you question, think outside the box, because you have the answers within you. And my question should just kind of open those layers a little bit more. And that's what coaching has done for me in my lifetime. So I take what I've learned and take it to other people as well. And Better Up is a great company for individuals as well as for companies to work with. And for me personally, again, I have a select private group that I work with as well, mainly around mindfulness and spiritualism, and diving a lot deeper than just what I normally would do in Better Up.
Mm-hmm. Definitely. And we will have all of that in the show notes so people can get in contact with you, because if you don't get this through your career, then I definitely highly recommend Judy reach out to her and through her personal service. It's worth it. It is definitely something that takes you and your thought process to a whole nother level, which is why we're here today to talk. I shared a post, Judy. I guess it was last week, because it was right around, it might have been this week actually. It's right around the new year. And everybody comes with all of these goals. Some people do resolutions. I've never done them. I just resolutions just don't make sense to me. But we were talking, and I shared with you that I was kind of feeling overwhelmed with all of the goodness that's happening right now with personal career and the personal business, so many things. And you stopped me and you said, I have a book suggestion for you. And it was the one word.
Mm-hmm.
And that process, let me just tell you, that's what we're going to talk about. I'm not even going to give it all away, because I want you to talk about it more, because you are the expert in this. But I tell you, that process of choosing one word instead of all of these goals that I was really about to pull my hair out over. I mean, I was really about to go crazy and writing all of these goals down. But can you share, just share what that means, and why you suggest that process to
Sure.
people?
The book is actually entitled One Word That Will Change Your Life, and it's by John Gordon, and there's 3 other gentlemen that wrote it as well. And I read this book at least 6 years ago now, at least 6 years.
Mm-hmm.
Started using it immediately. I thought, oh, this is perfect. And what it is about taking a word and using it as your focus for the year. Because when you look statistically, statistics can say whatever you want them to say, but about 85% of people that set resolutions don't follow through with them after like the first 3 months. So the first time I did this word was just really focused around something that I wanted to shift and change within myself. And the miracles and things that occurred through that year of unfolding for me, I was like, wow, I really have to like start doing this more. So I was doing vision boards at the time, and I introduced it to a group on New Year's Day. because I held it at my house, and my mother was still with me at the time. So she would come out, and it was like a big party. She'd come out and just talk to the ladies, as she said it. And, and I'd have like 6 or 7 people around my room, and I introduced them to the idea of one word, picking a word and having that as your primary focus in all areas of your life. What would that look like for you? And then we focused in on the vision boards and asked people to kind of start using the images to help them figure out what that word could possibly mean. And the empowerment that came from that was what led me to continue to do it every year. So I always say I learned my lesson 3 years ago because I chose the word receive. So that's because at that time, I had been a caregiver for my mom for 9 years. I'd also had my stepfather with me at one point in time. So I was a full-time caregiver for both of them and taking care of myself and working full-time. And so I was really just at this place where it's like, I need to stop giving and learn how to receive. Well, be careful because that was the year COVID began. The first quarter was COVID, and all of a sudden everything was getting shut down. Well, I ended up having to have emergency eye surgery. And I was the very last person to have eye surgery on before they locked down the operating room. And I literally was like the only person there. And it was an operation where I had to keep my head down for 5 days. I'm still taking care of my mother. I have to keep my head down for 5 days. How am I supposed to do this? And the surgeon said, you'll figure it out. It was another woman. And I was like, I guess I will. I had to reach out to friends and say, I need some help. I had to learn how to receive. So that was my word for receive. I also ended up that later that year, my mother started declining very quickly. She had fallen, and I realized that, okay, I need to actually ask people to come in to the house and sit with her because I can't leave her by herself. And I have to go to the doctors. I have 2 more eye surgeries coming up. So, yeah. So I ended up learning how to receive in big ways that year, which that's why I say, be careful of the word you choose. Really meditate on that word for like a week to 2 weeks, because you'll start seeing things. I did this with another, I do this with everybody. And actually one of my people just emailed me the other day and said, my word for this year is, and I hadn't talked to her in like a couple of years. And I was like, oh, that's interesting. I love it. I love how people share their words with me. But this one gentleman was saying, oh, I think this is going to be my word, ease. It's going to be ease. I love that word, ease. That's an interesting word. The next week he said, it is not going to be ease because everything became difficult. So he totally changed his word. So now his word is gratitude. And he said, beautiful things have come when he started using that word gratitude.
Yeah.
So last year's word, because my mother had passed and I was at that place of, I don't know where I'm going or what I'm doing. So I chose the word renew because that's what I was doing. I was renewing who I was as a person, who I was spiritually, emotionally, physically. What was I going to do with my life now? Because I didn't have to take care of anybody. And I've done that for so long. I'm like, I don't know what I'm going to do. So I said, I need to renew. I need to renew my spirit. And that's what I did. And my business grew, and I've gotten really connected with Better Up. And I love what they do and how they approach it. And their philosophy and mission is that everybody should have a coach. And I love that fact. No matter where you are in a company, you know, you should be able to have a coach. And I love that philosophy. And so I really just took that and grew with that word. So that was my word last year. So I choose my word on my birthday, which I don't know if you know or not, but it's on my birthday's in December. So I start this process back in November, and I was down to 4 words, and it was journey. And I thought, I've been on a journey forever. Leave that go. Mindfulness, I
Mhm.
practice mindfulness every day. I do my meditation, and I'm trying to get away from that word mindfulness and really focus on the word presence. Because when you think of the word mindful, it means your mind is full. So there's no more room.
Oh, I never thought of it that way.
Yeah.
Yes.
So I'm trying to take that word out of my vocabulary and bring in
Mhm.
presence, because that's what
Mhm.
you really want to do when you're doing meditation. You just want to be present where you are. That's why I do the stop, pause, breathe, receive
Mhm.
exercise, where you take the 4 deep breaths, and we'll talk about that, I'm sure, in a minute. But anyway, so through all that whole process, I decided on the word ripple. Now that's not a common word.
No.
And when I introduced it into my mind, I thought, well, I wonder what that would come out to be. And in one day, in having conversations with 3 different people, the word ripple came up. And I was like, that's interesting.
Mhm.
That's not a word you normally would hear.
No.
Then I watched the dog show. Of all things, I don't watch the dog show. But my mother always did. So when it was on, I clicked through, and one of the dogs' names was Ripple. No lie.
Oh my God.
So I was like, well, I guess my word's ripple. So reflecting on it, for me, ripple means that I center myself,
Mhm.
my own thoughts, my own actions, my own deeds, to be aware of what I caused to ripple out from me.
Oh, wow. That's powerful.
So that's where that came from. So
Mhm.
that's a big, long-winded way of saying one word can be extremely powerful. And I
Mhm.
really, when I ask people to do it, I really want them to reflect on it. Now, the beauty is I've taken the vision board into an intention board and redefined even what a vision board is. Because the vision board originally stemmed from The Secret, when everybody would say, put down what you want to manifest, as far as, and it was always very materialistic.
Yes. Yeah.
And for me, when I talk about the word, it's more about coming from your heart. What makes your heart sing? Who is it that you want to develop into? Who is it that you want to become in this next year?
Right.
And what is it that you need to learn and grow to strengthen yourself as an individual, so that you have the influence intentionally of what
Mhm.
your actions are, so that we can increase the compassion and the communication and actually be a part of the change and not just be forced to change.
Exactly. That is so powerful. And you said something, you started about the stop and breathe. And
Mhm.
is that what you would say when it's time to think about your word? Because a lot of people get stuck, because
Mhm.
if they're like me with this long list, I was, oh, Judy, I've got all these things. And you're like, take your time. And how do you do that? How do you tell someone who may feel like they have a million things, and we all do?
Mhm.
How do you get them to that one word?
Well, here we go. And the clocks are going to go off while I do this. The first one is, I just want you to stop whatever you're doing and just take a deep breath. Basically, you're going to close your eyes as you do this. So you're just going to take in a deep breath and let it out, just stopping. The second one, we take in a deep breath. And as we take in that deep breath, we cause what I call the monkey brain. So we're going to
Mm,
pause that monkey brain. We're going to stop from jumping from idea to idea. We're just going to let it be, and we're going to release that breath.
okay.
And then the third deep breath we take in, we honor the fact that we can breathe, that we're able to take a breath in. And we honor that that breath is a cleansing breath, and we just release that. And then the fourth deep breath we take in is the one where we receive. Are we still feeling a little tense? Maybe we start hearing that word. And then we release the tension and we ask ourselves, what's that word? 9 times out of 10, when I've done that, somebody has a word.
Right.
And then I ask them, play with it for a week, see if that's your word.
Mm-hmm.
And the other thing is always make sure that you have your word somewhere. I do metal stamping. So I literally stamp my words onto a disc and then I add them to my bracelets so that I have them with me all the time. So that's how I do it. I've had somebody else who told me they had extra Scrabble tiles laying around from, how many Scrabble games they had. And they literally glued their word onto one of those little things and then framed it and put it in their office so that they would have the Scrabble tiles. So that was their way of being creative with it. I've had others who have, when they did their intention board, they did a drawing of their word. And so it was present in that way. So it was a very artistic way of doing it. And I've had others who have just done like little Post-it note on their computer, just so they have it. And I have a Post-it queen. That's what I call her. She can put Post-it notes all over the place. And she has one in her bathroom mirror. She has one on her dresser mirror, just so that when she's walking by, she's got it right there so that she has it in the back of her mind.
Right. So would you say that, and I don't think I have my word other than written down on a Post-it note. I haven't done that yet, but I'm going to. Would you say that helps to drive your word or drive your intention in that particular word?
Specifically for at least the first 3 months, because we can create a habit within like a month. And it varies. Every expert varies. It's 21 to 29 days, and everything else. But I say, if you really want to drive it into so that you remember it, that it's implanted, have it around for the first 3 months where you're just constantly being attracted to it so that you remember it. The last 3 years I've done that and I've not forgotten any of my words. You asked me what my word was 6 years ago. I think I know, but I'm not sure. But boy, I can tell you the last 3 years because I've metal stamped every single one of those words. And for individuals who were in my home when they were doing that, I would stamp their word while they were still sitting here and they would have it on their bracelets. I have people that are still walking around with their words on their arms.
Yeah, that's such a neat way to do it. Are you able to explain? I know you are, because I mean you're amazing, but are you able to share like why one word versus that list of stuff works better and still accomplishes what's on the list?
Scientifically, they haven't done a lot of research around this yet, but for me personally, coming from the background that I do with the counseling background, it's a behavioral shift change. Instead of, when you're putting down resolutions and you're doing that, you're overloading your brain with, I have to do all of these things. When you focus on a word, that just means, oh, let me think about how that can reflect in what I'm doing today. It's incorporating that presence piece a lot more. You're more in tune with that one word. When you go to do something, you ask yourself, for example, I actually asked myself, I was getting ready to take a course on something and I went, would this be in alignment with my word for the coming year of what I want to see come to life from this word? Yes or no? It was a real simple question. Does it align? So I know what your word is. So as you go through, you've already done it. Is this in alignment? yeah, it is. Okay, then I'll move forward with it. No, I don't really think that is, or it doesn't feel right. That's the other beautiful piece. Everybody has that instinctual piece. We all have intuition. Intuition is not a woo-woo word. It just simply means that it's our primal brain telling us yes or no. It's up to us to listen. It's that fight or flight that we all have. Some of us are, it's ingrained more. But if we become present, we can listen to that more. So it's taking that word and just taking it and using it for your focus. So when I thought about that one course, I was like, no, that's not the way I want the ripple to go. That's not for me this year. This, however, is for me to learn and grow. And so I went in a different direction than I thought originally that I was going to go.
Right.
Yeah.
And I can share my word, because this is what's, sparked the conversation here. I posted on my Instagram site, about my word and how you really helped me to focus and hone in on that. And I asked people, what's your one word? And everybody just started sending their words or private messaging me saying, oh, wow, this is incredible, because it really makes you think. And what I want people to understand, and you've explained that, is that you're not saying that you're not going to prepare goals and that you're not going to have milestones and things that you need to reach in either personal, career, or whatever. Is that the word helps drive, you described it to me, a theme. This is my theme for the year, is circle. My word is circle. And it's because a lot of things for me are coming full circle. I am grateful that God has placed people in my personal circle that is really, my village, has really helped me to grow as a mom, as a friend, as just a business person, just all of that. And I guess the question for people who don't want to let go, because one person DM'd me and said, well, then how are you going to know what you accomplished? How are you going to measure your accomplishments if you don't have your goals and blah, blah, blah? And it's like, no, you still have your goals, but you look at whether or not your goals are in sync with your theme. And if it's not, maybe that's something that you should address. What would you say, though? Because I'm not certified, but that's what I told them, because that's what I've learned from you. But what would you say to the person who has to have, that's the metrics and the numbers and all of this stuff? How do you, because you work with people in business, so how do you get them to the concept of the one word?
Simply ask them, are those goals in alignment with what your word is? As I said, I chose not to take a course this coming year, because it wasn't where the direction I'm going. I know where I'm headed. I do have my long-term goals. We all have, I call them BHAGs, big, hairy, audacious goals. We all have those, but we also have to have the ability to walk them backwards from where we want them. So I have a goal projected at the end of 2022. So I know what I have to have done by the end of August. And I know what I have to have done by the end. And I just keep walking it back. And then to the point where, what is it that I can do today? Even if it's one small item that I can do to reach that goal. But I also say to myself, is this in alignment with my word? Is this the true ripple for me this year? Last year it was, am I truly renewing when I'm using it? The year before, am I truly receiving and understanding what that word receive was? Boy, did I. But is it in alignment? Is that truly the BHAG that I need to have this year? Or should I push that BHAG down another year because it's not resonating with me? But you can take, and I don't want everybody to have like these 2 or 3 huge goals. Have one major goal and then have smaller goals to meet that one goal. So you could have a goal 5 years out, but you bring it back. What do I need to have done by 3 years? What do I need to have done in 2 years, 1 year, 9 months, 6 months, 3 months. Oh, what do I have to do by the end of this month? And I've done that with you.
Yes.
What is it that you need to have done by the end of this month?
Yeah.
And then we walk it
Right.
backwards from there. And, what is it that you can do today to move forward? So, yeah, the smaller steps get you there just as quickly as a large giant step, but you learn a lot more. And so when they're set on their metrics, is that meeting their word?
Mhm. Right.
Or is that a detractor?
Mhm. Yeah.
Those would be some of the questions I would ask.
Mhm. That is a very good point. Do you think, because we do this, so I love the fact that you reeled me in from the ledge of, girl, you're doing way too much. Look at what you need to do today. You've even narrowed me down to, what do you have to do today? What do you have to do by the end of the week, which is really helped for those of us who have busy lives. It's really, really helped to focus you. Have you ever had anyone to abandon their word and choose another word? Is that common, or what's your advice about, okay, this word is not working and I'm 6 months in, kind of thing? Does that happen?
Not 6 months in, a week to 2 weeks, if after you're trying it, like, my one person who chose ease. Yeah, I'm not using ease.
Right. Right.
I think they went through 3 different words before they finally picked their word.
Okay.
So yeah, I always, but the beauty of the one word is you don't have to start it at the beginning of the year.
Mhm.
So maybe you're hearing, the podcast, or maybe you're hearing about this 6 months in and you're like, well, I can't do it until the beginning of the year. No, I read the one word book in the middle of the year. I chose a word and I said, well, let me figure out if this works. It had enough of an attraction to me that I started talking about it.
Mhm.
So yeah, that's the beauty of it. You can pick it at any time, and there's different ways you can pick it too. You can pick a word for yourself.
Mhm.
You can pick a word for your family.
Yeah.
If you're a team leader, you can ask your team, what do you think we need to concentrate on for this year?
Mhm.
What's the underlying piece that we need to concentrate on? And so you could do it as a team
Mhm.
development component and get individuals to buy into it in that way.
Mhm.
There's many ways that you can use this. And so it's not just I can only use this one word. You can have multiple words. You could have a word for yourself, a word for your team, a word for your family. And I did this with an individual last year, and she sat down with her children, 8 and 6,
Mhm.
and asked them, what do you think our word needs to be for the family?
Mm.
And the little girl spoke up and said, it needs to be freedom. And
Mhm.
the mom was like, wow, that's a powerful word. She said, yep, I want to be able to be free to see my friends again. They were in COVID lockdown.
Yes. Yeah.
So that's where it came from. And, I want to be able to be free to see my grandparents again. And so mom was like, whoa,
Yeah, that's
and,
pretty powerful.
when we did the intention board this year, we had from 14-year-olds all the way up to 63-year-olds in on this because I did it virtually.
Mhm.
And I was impressed with what the 14, 16-year-olds had come up with, the words that they had come up with. And one girl worked on her board until midnight, just making sure. And the other one they were really into it. They wanted to create a vision of what it is that they wanted to see come to life for them in this
Yeah.
coming year and how they wanted to grow. And I thought that was fabulous. And I used to do this as a vision board with adolescents and young adults. And it was
Mhm.
part of a treatment program that I was doing. And when they would come into the treatment program, I would ask them, where do you see yourself in 6 months? Because that's about as far as they could go in their
Right.
vision.
Yeah.
And I would ask them to create
Mhm.
a vision board. for one exercise. I had another one. I actually had them create a newspaper of their past 3 months, where they had been, what got them to where they are now, and where they'd like to be in 6 months. And so they would write articles around that. And then I had another one where I had them design a game of their life up to this point, and where they wanted their life to be in 6 months to a year.
Right. And that's still focusing and getting that theme to come out. We talked about that, because I am going to do that with my sons, is ask them to really think about their word. I mentioned it to them, but I'm excited to see what they come up with, because I think sometimes we don't give young people credit in being very thoughtful and very present in what they want. Like the young lady who said freedom, you would never even think that an
An
8-year-old,
8-year-old.
right, would come up with such a powerful word, and then have a really clear understanding and clarity around why she chose that as her word for a theme. Is there any suggestion that you have for those who may want to try it with their family? Would you suggest vision boards, or do you have other suggestions for how people can introduce that to?
One of the things, and I don't get a commission for this, I'm going to plug John Gordon's book. It's a quick read. It's on Amazon. It's called One Word That Will Change Your Life. That's a great way to start it. You can look at that. It explains how the 4 gentlemen came to be and started working on it, their own word. That's one way. The other way is just to sit down and ask your children, if you were to think of a word that you wanted to represent this coming year for you, and just kind of give them a few words and see what they come up with. I never gave a lot of direction whenever I work with young adults or young children. I never give a lot of direction. I just kind of throw the idea out and see what happens. It's kind of like, that concept of just throwing the spaghetti on the wall and see if it sticks.
Right.
But the other piece was, I always did it, and I always had music playing in the background, just not word music. So the agreement was, while they worked on it, they would have to listen to whatever music I chose. And then afterwards they got to pick whatever they wanted to listen to. So, but it had to be a PG version, is how I always put it for them. So if it was rap, it had to be a PG version, because we were in a building with other people, and I didn't want to get people upset with us. But they, the adults were always the naysayers. Like, that's not going to work with a child. You're not going to be able to get a teenager to do that. I always found out that they were always ready to go for it. They were like, this is pretty cool. Let me do this. And they're very active and very involved in it. Like I said, the one girl worked on her board until midnight. We finished in 2 hours on the intention board. And the other 2 girls, they were still working on it as well. And the grandmother was so excited. She was taking pictures and videos and everything. They were very concentrated on what they were going to do with that. They really had a vision of what they wanted to see come to fruition for themselves.
Yes, that is exactly right. The vision part of it. And I think that's where, I don't know, I think that's a part that we may miss, because we are so busy, or making ourselves busy, that we don't.
That word is a 4-letter word in my book.
It is. That is true.
Busy.
I don't tell you I'm busy anymore either. that is a naughty word. But we allow ourselves to get so caught up that we don't stop to think anymore, or schedule any time, or just block off some time to really just sit down and think. And that's what I loved about this exercise, is because when you told me about it, and you said, you don't have to choose it now, think about it, and we'll talk about it next week. And that's what I did, is I just went away, and I think it was 2 weeks before I actually finalized it. And I prayed about it, and I meditated on it, and I just said, is this it? And amazingly, everything that I'm doing now, it's in alignment. And I am really careful about making sure, like, okay, is this a circle moment here, or is this a square? I'm not doing anything that's going to throw off the theme of what I'm trying to accomplish. And that's the beauty of it. That's what makes it so much fun.
Sorry, that was my puppy in the background coughing, if you heard her.
That is perfectly fine. We're used to fur babies in the background, so no worries there at all.
Yeah, she was just coughing. She's waking up from her nap, like, and she always has that little cough and stuff. She's like an old lady. She's got to clear her throat, make sure everything's good, rub the floor.
Right.
She's my character. So,
So
but you're
what?
absolutely right. Yeah, I would say definitely that is just the focus is, and then making sure that you keep it around so that you see it.
Right.
So that it becomes a part of you and you're like, oh yeah, okay, does this really fit with where I envision? Is this in alignment? Just keep asking that question.
Yes, exactly. I think that is the big thing. Is there anything that we haven't talked about that you would say to someone who's teetering on the word or trying to understand the best way to approach it, or why you think this is the best way?
Don't overthink it. Trust your gut. Give it a try. And it's kind of like parenting. If you give it a try, don't try it once and just say, oh, well, that doesn't work. Try it and let it marinate and let it become a being, a presence within you of, yes, this could work. No one that I've introduced this to has said, well, nothing came to life.
Right.
You know, in all the years that I've done this, all of my people have always said, this has been an interesting way of reframing how I look at what I want. And as I said, I have people that I've worked with, like even up to 5 years ago, who have messaged me and said, I still have my word. I still know what my word was. And they just take it and adapt it into different ones. I have one individual right now who has one word and they're like, I already know what my word's going to be for next year. I said, get through this word, get through this year with this word, and then let it happen naturally. They're like, no, this is going to be. I'm like, okay. Years of experience doing this, get through the year with your word and see what comes up. Give it to yourself as a gift. It doesn't have to be a task, another thing to check off your list. Introduce it as a gift. This is a gift that I'm giving myself. I'm giving myself a chance to tune in, to listen to whatever it is that you call that higher being in your life wants me to focus on for this coming year, so that I evolve and grow into the being that I'm supposed to be.
That's it. That says it all right there. And also, for those of you who are just tuning in and you have not watched the beginning, or you fast forward it, go back to the beginning, because that is when Judy shares how you clear your mind and get quiet. But that's not just for one word exercises. You suggest doing that anyway.
That's my mini meditation for anybody who says, oh, I can't meditate. Can you give me 30 seconds? Because that's how long it took us to go through that stop, pause, breathe, receive. 30 seconds to a minute. You can do that 2-3 times a day. Science has now shown that if you are practicing meditation, and meditation isn't just sitting and going, that's not it. Meditation is just being present and being aware of what's going on and listening to the sounds. If you do that practice 12 minutes a day now, they used to say 20 minutes. Now it's down to 12 minutes a day. You can actually see shifts and change within the brain. So they're really doing a lot of studies around what meditation and mindfulness practices and being present can do for an individual, not just stress reduction wise, but actually shifting your brain in ways. For chemical addiction, they're doing studies around it now. It's really an interesting thing. And I'm a geek, so I follow the science when it comes to stuff. I never introduce an idea or a thought without having some type of a science to back it up, or many years of practice behind it and seeing the results myself.
Awesome. This has been incredible and an amazing time together, because I am so glad that you came in and just shared how easy choosing one word can be, but how powerful it is too, because it's not like you just flip through the dictionary and point to a word and say, okay, that's my word. It really does make us think and make us stop and reset and listen to what it is that we want. Is there anything that you would leave our listeners with, any nugget of something you would want to just say to people? It doesn't have to be about the one word, but just about presence, whatever.
I would say if you don't walk away with anything else, walk away with the mantra of take time to stop whatever it is you're doing. Whenever we get stressed or we're in chaos, we become really tense. So if you would do the stop, whatever it is you're doing, pause the monkey brain for a second, honor the breath, because when we're in crisis, we forget to breathe. And you can always remember that, because whenever you've been in a critical moment, you're just like letting your air out going, oh, I haven't been breathing. So stop, pause, breathe, receive. That was handed to me by my mentor back in 2015. And I have taken that and expanded it into just that brief breathing moment. And honoring that can help you center in again and just keep going. So stop, pause, breathe, and receive.
Y'all heard it. You heard it here. Thank you so much, Judy Micale. You guys have to follow on LinkedIn. We'll have everything in the show notes so that you know how to get in touch with Judy. It definitely one word that will change your life. It has definitely changed mine, and I'm only a couple of weeks into my word, and I already see the gains from that. But look into coaching. Look into getting that extra help and that push, because had we not talked, I wouldn't have known about the one word, or I maybe would have stumbled on it later. But you guys really think about that and getting that in your life and helping you to get where you want to go faster. You'll get there. But having a coach definitely helps you to figure out where you need to go without all of the hoopla extra.
That I have right now is that journal book for caregivers, the 31 Daily Inspirations. I'm writing my second book. Yeah. That'll come out. I'm hoping to have that out. That's a lot in alignment. That's the ripple.
That's the ripple. That's right.
I actually had to think about that for a minute when I was doing it. I was like, is this going to be, yeah, this is truly the ripple, the ripple. So, right. Yeah. Mm-hmm. But I would say those are the 31 daily inspirations for caregivers, because there are moms that are going to be listening to you, and they're caregivers. That doesn't necessarily mean that you have to be a caregiver of an elder. This applies to everybody. The book does. So it's a great journal book, and just really can help them begin their own journaling journey if they haven't journaled already, because it's one page and then it's got 3 pages of blank in it.
Yes.
So
yes, yeah. That's wonderful. So you get the information on that one page, and then you get to put your own thoughts and feelings down as well. Because caregiving is, especially in my age group, that's where we are in life. We're all in that same area where if you're not caring for a parent, you're caring for a child or a spouse or even, siblings even. So
I was trying to see if I even I have my books somewhere here. I was going to just read you one of them so that you could kind of get an idea of what
okay.
it is. This one is on day 2. It is what it is. Today, I am grateful for the fact that what is to be will be. Don't second guess. Just go with it and let what transpires happen at its own pace. We as human beings are prone to wanting to plan and fix things that we think they should be. Today, just let that day happen. Yes, it's okay to have a general plan, but don't become so bogged down in what you plan that you can't enjoy the moment. So for the journal entry for day 2, you're to do it at the end of the day. Reflect back over the day. Journal about what your original plans were and what changed. Remember to include the hiccups that occurred and see the positive pieces that came out of the unplanned parts of the day.
I love that.
And then this one was the one that opened up automatically. So this is probably just a direct message for you. Day 5, angels. I have many angels here on earth, and I am sending each of you a virtual hug. I believe that we not only have angels watching over us, but that we have angels here on earth. These individuals may be people you know, or they may just show up when you need them. Who are your angels? How have they made a difference in your life? Today, begin your day by reflecting on random acts of kindness that you have had enter into your own life. Now take a moment and reflect on those random acts of kindnesses that you have bestowed on others. Take time to put these in your journal. As you go through your day today, check back in and record anything new or any memories that have come to you throughout the day. So these were all written to myself. The inspirational quotes were written to myself while I was in the throes of having my mother go through open heart surgery, having melanoma removed from her right leg, and having pneumonia, all within a 3-week span.
Good grief. Yeah.
So I was sitting down every single day, just writing inspirational quotes to myself to keep me going. And I had all of these, and a friend, when everything settled, the dust settled, and I had my mom and my stepdad move in here with me, a friend reached out and said, I'm doing a 2-day workshop on writing books. I'd love for you to come. Well, I had all of these already down, written, these quotes. So I wrote the rest of it, those 1-pagers, that weekend. And that's how the book came to be. The journal book came to be.
It's powerful. It is. 31 daily inspirations for caregivers. Judy Micale, yes, love it. You guys have to get it. Judy, I have to get that book, because even though my father's no longer with me, just what one of the things that you just read just hit me. The angels, that was for me. That is so for me.
I'm not joking. The book just opened right up to that page for you.
Oh my goodness.
That's why I said this one's for you. I don't know why, but it is. Yeah.
I know why. I know exactly why. So I'm like, okay, let me get this journal in. Ooh, scared. This is really, that's for me. That was my nugget. Oh, this is great. You guys have to get the daily inspirations for caregivers. Not only if, we think of caregivers as, like you said, when we're caring for someone who may be ill, but what you just read applies to anybody who is if you're in someone's life, you're giving care some type of way, or if not, you're living very selfishly. You're not. So there is some type of reciprocation in all of our relationships. And I love what you say, caregivers is not just about taking care of someone. It can be children, it can be friendships and everything. So this is definitely one that, again, helps us to be present.
All I can say is thank you so much. Deep bow of appreciation truly to you for this. It's been an honor to be a part of this. It's been a while since I've done a podcast or anything like that. So once again, I can be perfectly imperfect.
And we wouldn't be human if we anymore. That is the beautiful part of it. Thank you so much, Judy. You have a wonderful rest of the day. Thank you again for stopping by to share with us. It has been valuable. And I hope if it's just one person, I hope it really does help and open up doors and give someone that little push they needed. Or if this was it, if it's just one, then that's all I care about, is that one person gets something. But I know it'll be more because this was amazing. So
Thank you again. I appreciate it. Now the other dog's gonna growl.